Connect Primary 6. Term 1.
Apartment block. Chemicals. Harvest. Natural fertilizer. Plant. Roof. Potatoes. Peppers. Onions. Lettuce. Tomatoes. Pineapple. Dates. Lemons. Tomorrow. Thanks. Afternoon. Community garden. Space. Volunteer. Neighborhood. Roof garden. Local area. Interesting. Fresh. Organic. Square meter.
No school tomorrow. Do you want to come to my house?
Thanks, Noor. But I always help my aunt on Friday afternoons at the community garden.
The community garden. What's that?
It's a big green space on the roof of my Aunt Salma's apartment block. The people who work there are all volunteers from the neighborhood. We grow vegetables to eat, and sometimes we sell them in the market too.
That's interesting. What things do you grow?
Well, we usually plant tomatoes, peppers, onions, lettuce, things people eat all the time. Sometimes we also plant fruit trees. This year we have lemons and dates.
And you grow all this food in the middle of the city. Wow.
Yes, it means people can grow their own fresh food and it's organic too, which means we only use natural fertilizer, we never use chemicals.
Does your garden produce a lot of vegetables?
Yes, it does. From just 1 square meter of roof garden, we can harvest 20 kilos of vegetables a year. And that's not all. Roof gardens also help clean the air in the city, which is good for people's health. And they're a great place to meet people and make friends.
It sounds great, Miriam. We need more community roof gardens like that in our city.
Logo. Mini forest. Earth Aid. Organization. Special. Nature. Wildlife. Urban locations. Foreign. Project. Data. Naturally. Link. Normally. Carefully. Living things.
What is Mini Forest? Mini Forest is an organization which plants small areas of trees in the middle of our cities. These special green areas help people enjoy nature and help our wildlife be like plants, animals, and other living things. At Mini Forest, we always work hard to find the best urban locations for our forests, where people and wildlife need nature most. We never grow foreign plants in our projects. We always plant trees that grow naturally in an area, and we carefully look after them until they become a small forest. We also usually work with local communities to plant and look after the forests over time. We collect data from every forest we plant a few times a month. This helps us understand the effects of the new green space on the people, wildlife, and climate of the area. We rarely have enough volunteers to help us with our projects, so we are always happy when people offer to help us. Click on the link to find out more.
Competition. Region. Gymnastics. Snack. The Western Desert. On time. Pass through. Railway line. Local residents. Hang out. Miss. Well. New York. Apartment block. Floor. A great view. Green spaces. No one. Famous. High line. Species. Artworks. Theater performance. Noisy. News. Taste.
Hi Sama, how are you? I'm well and New York is great. Our apartment block is on the 16th floor, so we have a great view of the city. New York has a lot of green spaces. There are also projects to create new parks and green spaces in parts of the city that no one uses now, like the famous High Line. Do you know about it? Years ago, the High Line was a railway line, but in the 1980s trains stopped using it. Some local residents then decided to make the old railway into a big, long park that everyone could use. Now it's a green space with more than 500 species of plants and trees in it. It is 2.5 kilometers long, and when you walk through it, can you see artworks, watch a theater performance, eat delicious food, or go running, or just hang out with your friends. I think it's my favorite place in New York. It passes through our neighborhood, so I often go there with my parents. Here is one of my photos of it. How are things in Alexandria? I miss home. New York is very noisy all the time. Alexandria is much quieter at night. There are lots of different restaurants here in New York, and the food doesn't taste like the food at home. I think the food tastes more delicious in Egypt. I miss our food so much. Write soon and tell me all your news. Whale.
Selfish giant. Wonderful. Soft. Wall. Empty. Silent. Sweet. Finally. Look out of. Whole. Tiny. Suddenly. Branches. In one corner. On their way home.
In a village there lives a giant who has a wonderful garden. In his garden there are tall trees, beautiful flowers and soft green grass. There are colorful birds singing in the trees and bees on the plants. Every afternoon on their way home from school, the local children come to play in the giant's garden. The lovely garden always makes the children happy. But the selfish giant doesn't want to share his garden, so one day he builds a big wall around it. Now the children never come there to play. The days pass and the garden is always empty and silent. Slowly, the green grass turns brown. The leaves fall from the trees. Then snow covers the garden and all the birds and bees fly away. Spring arrives in the village, but in the giant's garden it is still winter. Everything is under the snow. The giant doesn't understand. Usually his garden is beautiful in spring. What is wrong? Then one morning he wakes up and hears a lovely sound. A little bluebird is singing in a tree outside. Then the giant hears another sweet sound, children laughing. He looks out of the window and sees that the children have come back from a hole in the garden wall. Now they are sitting in the trees. The leaves on the trees are green again and flowers are opening around them. The giant feels so happy to see his garden grow again. But in one corner of the garden it is still winter. The giant sees a tiny boy standing there. He is too small to climb up into the tree. Suddenly the giant understands everything. Now I know why spring didn't come, he says. I think it's because I was selfish about my garden. He goes out and helps the little boy climb up into the tree. Suddenly all the leaves on the tree open and the birds fly up into its branches and start to sing. When you are not selfish, the giant says, good things happen.
The meadows. Third floor. The other side. A great view. Distance. Edinburgh Castle. Warm. Especially. For example. Scottish. Porridge. Honey. Family tradition.
Hi Layla. How are things with you? I'm finally in Scotland with Mom, Dad, and Honey. It's really interesting. Our apartment is in the city center, just next to a really cool park called the Meadows. It's on the third floor and the park is on the other side of the street, so we have a great view over the trees. People use the park a lot for sports and meeting friends, so there's always something to see there. In the distance we can see the famous Edinburgh Castle, too. I like Scotland, but there are lots of things I miss about Egypt: the warm, sunny weather, it's never hot here, and especially the food. Scottish food is okay but Egyptian food is better. For example, for breakfast a lot of Scottish people eat porridge. They usually make it with milk, and they sometimes put honey on it, but I don't really like it. I really miss my favorite Egyptian breakfast, full madame. The people here are nice and I have a lot of new friends at school. I often go to my friend Rona's house after school. We study together and sometimes we watch TV in English. Please write back soon and tell me all the news from home. Lots of love.